Okay. Hello, this is Kelly Scholl from the Office of Research Analysis and Reporting at OSSE. And today we're going to talk a little bit more about the student data tool, which was developed as part of the Serving Students with Disabilities During Periods of Remote or Blended Learning LEA toolkit. And today we're just going to touch base on sharing the student data tool in forms. So one of the really important decisions to make when setting up this system, this process, is who needs access and at what level to the student data tool and the associated forms. So you're going to go ahead and go to your Google Drive where you have copied over the forms and workbook, you've connected the forms to the workbook, and you've started creating some student sheets. So there are, for the forms in particular, there are two levels of access basically. You can be a user or you can be a collaborator. So a user just simply does that. They use the form. If you've been sent a form to complete before, you were probably a user. You're able to input data, but you can't see that data once you've submitted it. So to have a user, you're going to go ahead and just click send to the form. And you can email the form, you can get the form as a link to send to others. Both of those options work. And this might be for an example of a service provider. Might not need access to all of the data, but you can just send them the link to the form and say, please complete this after you finish providing services. So that's what a user does. Now, if somebody needs to be able to see all of the information in the responses, then we want to add them as a collaborator. So we're going to click on these three dots, select Add Collaborator, and then simply put in the person's email address, whoever the collaborator may be. If they are an editor, they'll be able to edit the form itself. So they might be able to add a question, change possible answers, that sort of thing. One really important thing to note is that collaborators can see all of the responses. So if it's only appropriate for an individual to see the responses for one or two or a couple of the kids a couple of the students in the universe, we don't want to add them as a collaborator. We only want to add them as a collaborator if they should be able to see all of the responses on all of the students. It's totally up to you and your team and the student privacy folks at your LEA, but I think chances are that there will be very few collaborators on these forms. Just not that many people need to see all that data. And it won't be that useful since the data is also in the dashboard. Okay, now to share access to the student data tool, you want to go ahead and open that up. Now for the student data tool, people can be viewers, commenters, or editors. Viewers will be able to see everything in the student data tool. Again, that's not limited by student, so they'll be able to see everything in the student data tool. Commenters will be able to see everything in the student data tool, and they can leave comments on the sheets. And then editors will be able to see everything in the student data tool, leave comments in the sheets, and edit anything in the document. So if you need somebody to be entering student data into the student data tool or creating sheets, for example, new student sheets, then they will need editor access. So to share the sheet, you go ahead and you select Share. And you just add in the people you want to share, and then you can edit their level of access, whether it be viewer, commenter, or editor. A couple important notes here. One is about thinking, again, about the grain size or the unit size of students in this sheet. If it's not, think about who it will be appropriate for the users to see data on. So users might not need to see data on students they've never met before, so it might be more appropriate to have at the classroom or school or case manager level. Another important thing is just to be checking with the folks who know the most about student privacy laws and FERPA at your LEA to make sure that all of this is on the up and up and that you're sharing it in the most secure way possible, whether that be limiting it to school email address or any other sort of limitation that folks at your LEA recommend. Okay, that's it for sharing your tools. Thank you very much. And of course, check out our Serving Students with Disabilities During Periods of Remote or Blended Learning on the OSSE webpage if you'd like more information.